and I hope you all have a wonderful session. Over to you, Bhavya.
Hi all, I'm Bhavya Goenka and I run a design practice, zero waste design practice here in Jaipur called Iro. And as Suki said, I've also been recently appointed the regional head for Jaipur by Fashion Revolution. And today we are celebrating Crafty Christmas with Studio Bagru and are joined by Rajshri Puri and Anup Chipa. Anup Chipa is the artisan partner with Studio Bagru, and he's a fourth generation block printing artist who has been there for 5 years. He specializes in mud printing and printing with natural colors. Rajshri has been working with Studio Bagru for almost 3 years now and is passionate about promoting this ancient craft and tradition, as well as enjoys working with designers around the world who collaborate with artisans in Bagru. Besides her work, like all the best people, Rajshri is also a pastry chef and runs a baking business. So I am going to hand it over to Rajshri now. Hi, Rajshri.
Hi, thank you, Bhavya, for the introduction. Just setting up the camera here. Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Raj. You can call me Raj. I am the studio manager for Studio Bagru, and I take care of all the 3 verticals that we have here. And I'm just gonna, if you look at the other camera, I'm just going to show you our store here. So, this is our retail store. So as I mentioned, we have 3 verticals here at Studio Bagru. First is the store, that is the retail bit of the business that we have. We also do wholesale, which is bulk printing for designers and other artists across the world who require fabric to be printed or end products to be made. And the third one is workshops, where we have guests joining us from all over the world, and we take them to a village 30 minutes here from Jaipur. It's called Bagru, and it is the hub of block printing here. And yeah, it is the hub of block printing. And we take them there, we show them around the village, they interact with the artists, see the expertise that they have. We show them the drying fields, the block covers, we take them through the old bazaar, and then we come back to our artist partner's house and they can print something on their own. We give them sort of a crash course, and they can make an item on their own and take it as a souvenir home. So it's a fun day, and I hope you can all join us once the pandemic is over and we're free to travel. So that is about our company. And we have everyone on mute, but I'm happy to take questions. If you have any, please leave them on the chat box, and I'll get to answer them as we start the printing process. Yeah, okay. So should we start, or are we waiting for more people to join, Bhavya?
I think we can start.
Yeah, get going, I say.
Okay, perfect. So you see the other camera here, that is the table that we're going to set up for printing. I'm just going to show you quickly the tray setup that we use for printing. If you can see the other camera, if you want to highlight that, Bhavya. So this is the typical, can you guys still hear me? Okay. So this is the typical tray setup that we use in Bagru. This is a wooden or a plastic tray that they would have. And this is filled with color. Then they'll have this sort of a metal frame with nylon strings around it. And this acts as the stamp pad on which the stamp is, on which the block you would dip to get the ink. And then we'll have this piece of jute fabric that goes on top of this stamp pad. Okay, so the function that this jute fabric has is to regulate the amount of color that gets onto the block. If you were to dip the block directly into the color tends to get inside the carving and you'll just get a blob rather than a fine print. So to get the perfect design out, you need this jute fabric, and this will regulate the amount of color that gets onto the block. So this is your tray setup, and I'll show you how to set up the table. Also give you alternatives when you're printing at home. So this is our printing table here. Anup is going to Anup is going to cover it with this is a rug that we have here. If you don't have this, you can use a yoga mat, or you can use cardboards. If you have flat cardboards, you can use those as well. Also, you can cover your table first in plastic or a tarp just to save your furniture in case of a spillage. But yes, after the tarp, you can put this rug. If you don't have an old rug, you can put, like I mentioned, newspaper or a yoga mat. And then he's covering this with a cotton fabric. This is a very traditional kind of thing that they do here. It's called a achara fabric. It's a cotton fabric that is used to cover up the tables. If you go to Bagru, the padding that we did here of the rug, this one, is usually on their printing tables, they would have 20 layers of jute fabric. That is the amount of padding that they do there, and then cover it with this achara fabric. So another one, just to make sure that we don't damage the office table. Also, you'll see that the achara fabric has a lot of designs and colors on it. It's because the artists like to try out the design first on the achara fabric before they start printing on the actual fabric. So you'll see acharas with a lot of colors and a lot of patterns all mixed together to make this one beautiful piece of fabric. So once this is done, we're gonna okay, Anup is going to show you how to set up the tray with color. We have this kit available on our website. I'm just going to leave a link for that here, so you can order it from us. Otherwise, if you don't have this setup, what you can do is take a tray, fold up a newspaper and put it on the tray, pour about 2 or 3 spoons of ink on it, spread it, and then you can use that to put ink on your block. So he has put the stamp pad and the jute fabric into the tray. And he's going to pour the ink onto that. The ink that we use here is screen printing ink, and you can source it locally as well if you want to print at home. And then he's just gonna spread that around.
That's a lovely color, Raj. What could you tell us a bit more about your colors and how you source, perhaps?
Yes, so these are all synthetic colors. These are screen printing inks that are easily available everywhere, no matter which part of the world you're in. And we take 50 grams of colors with 1 liter of binder, and that is what they print with. that is the same thing you can do as well at home if you're printing. The printing Bagru is known for is that Bagru is famous for is printing with natural colors, and those that is a process that takes a lot of time, so we couldn't fit that in 1 hour. So we're going to be printing with these colors today.
Okay, so typically Studio Bagru is quite committed to having natural dyes.
Yes,
you do have a mix of synthetic and natural.
yes. Also, these dyes are azo free and Ecotech certified. So these are also not bad for the environment.
Okay, and maybe you could just give us a little technical for anyone that doesn't know. If you're choosing colours for dyes and you want to be as natural as possible, you want to be as eco-friendly as possible, what should we look out for?
So if you're doing, if you want a lot of colors in your in the print that you're ordering, then you would have to go with these colors because the natural colors are very limited. There are not a lot of options in them. So if you want colorful products, these are your options. So in case you're using these, you have to go with colors that are azo free, AZO, azo free, and certified by some body which makes sure that these are not bad for the environment.
And Bhavya, in terms of your knowledge of, you founded Zero Waste, as well as being the Fashion Revolution Jaipur coordinator, regional coordinator. Tell us a few tips or tricks you might have when it comes to like sourcing your colors or teething problems you might have had.
If it's just a home project that I want to do, I generally go for materials like things that I would find in the trash can of my kitchen. So it could be leftover tea leaves that I make color from. It could be beetroot waste that I make color from. It could be some vegetable waste or leaves, spinach and everything mixed together that I get a green color from. And I would generally just use that. If it's something that I want to practice professionally, then I would try and see the local availability of ingredients, such as onion peel skin that would be available in any vegetable market freely to sort of derive colors from it. But if it's something that I need to make very colorful, and if it needs to be something that cannot be done with natural dyes, then I tend to go for azo-free dyes, as Rajshri said.
So we've gotten our two other colors. We have a red, a yellow, and the green that we just made. And he's going to set up our first product to print. It's a tote bag. And you'll notice that he had that piece of newspaper inside the bag. It's to prevent the color from going on to the other side, so that you can have two different designs on the same bag, front and back. So just put, if you're doing a tote bag at home, just put a piece of newspaper inside it. Before you print. So also you can pin your product to the table so it doesn't move. That's also a good idea. So,
do you think Anoop is comfortable to tell us a little bit about his journey into printing and his love for it? Even if he speaks in Hindi, it's fine.
Yes, we'd love to know that.
आप बताओगे आपने कैसे प्रिंटिंग स्टार्ट करी?
मैंने कैसे करी?
हाँ, थोड़ा जोर से बोलना पड़ेगा, इसमें आवाज है.
Can he wave to us on the camera if he just shows us his face? Is that possible?
Yeah, so you just give me 1 second. Do you see him now?
Yeah, hi Anup. Bhavya's going to ask you a couple of questions in Hindi.
नमस्ते अनूप जी, आप क्या हमें बता सकते हैं कि आपको ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग का काम किसने सिखाया?
मेरे को ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग का काम किसी ने नहीं सिखाया, मेरे मम्मी पापा लगाते थे, उनको देख देख के मैंने सीख लिया।
तो आप जब से बचपन से आपने ये देखते आए आप, और आपने ये धीरे धीरे पकड़ में आ गया आपके ये काम?
देखता ही रहता था हमेशा।
तो आपके ये परिवार में कब से हो रहा है ब्लॉक प्रिंटिंग का काम?
मेरे दादाजी भी थे, उससे पहले प्रिंटिंग थी, करते थे परिवार के।
नाना जी?
मेरे नाना जी प्रिंटिंग करते थे, मामा जी भी प्रिंटिंग करते हैं, मेरी मम्मी भी छोटे सी मेरे 15, 13, 14 साल की उम्र में से प्रिंटिंग कर रही है।
Perhaps you could translate for the audience members that don't speak.
So basically what Anup ji is saying is that all of his family members have been doing printing, and that is how because it was in the environment while he was growing up, he naturally built an affinity towards printing, and which is why he knows the craft inside out, and which is why he is one of the rarely treasured artisans for Studio Bagru as well.
Yeah, so his mother has been printing for since she was 13 years old. I've spoken to her many times about this, and she says this is something that she really loves. Like she said, I couldn't wait to grow up and start printing. And she is so good at it. Her expertise is the red and black natural color printing. So is his. Like his family, every artist family has their own expertise. His is the natural colors. So I'll give you more details about the types of printings that is done in Bagru. For now, we'll just start. If you can highlight this. So before you start printing, I'll show you a few blocks here. Pin नहीं पता लगानी है क्या? I'm just going to show you a few blocks that we have here. Give me 1 second.
अनूप जी, आपके भी हाथ पर इधर जो है वो पूरा सूज गया है क्या? अब वो एकदम कोई आपको वहां पर वो नहीं होता ना?
हाँ, वो स्केल बन गया।
Scale bन गया ना? So what happens when you are printing with blocks is that you have to stamp and hit on it, and you do
found the block to transfer the ink.
So what happens is that this area, it completely swells, and with time it goes numb. So most of the artisans who have been block printers cannot feel anything over here.
So these are the types of blocks that we have here. I hope you can see there's enough light. Yeah. So this is a regular one color block. Is it better here?
Yes, this is better.
Okay. So this is a regular one color block, and you can see it has one design, and you can print with one color with this. So whatever color you're taking, it will print this and print the design as it is. There are other types of blocks which have parts to it. So blocks like these, they come in a set.
So one would be the outline and one would be the color inside, right, Rajshri?
Yes, and it can go up to 6, 7 colors. And with this, there is the gad block, which is the background block. So you can print the background rather than dyeing the fabric. Then you would, it would leave some negative space in between, wherein you fill in the outlines with a block like this. And then you have the accent blocks to fill in the colors into those outlines. So very complex process, sounds very easy, but it is a skill that you have to master to get the print to land right where it's supposed to go. So we have this kind of block as well today to show you how it's done. इसका वो थोड़ी लाया तू गन. So yeah, as I was saying, the background block is called Gad. This is a background block. You can see a lot of surface area for printing, and then it would leave these grooves empty. And then in that white area, you would print with this, and you can have the outline of the design inside that. So this is the Gad block. This is the rake. And if there was an accent block in this, it would be like this, and you call that datta. So we started Studio Bagru in 2016 with the aim to connect the customers directly to the artisans, because at that time there were a lot of middlemen who were involved, and they were taking a major chunk of the sale proceeds. So to get the artisans their fair share of the sale money, we decided to get the customers directly to Bagru and connect them directly to the artists, and so that the artists also develop a more entrepreneurial approach towards printing. And with this in mind, we also started a project called Mahila Print. Mahila in Hindi means a woman. And in this, we tied up with 11 women artisans in Bagru and had them join these skill development workshops, where they came up with their own original artwork for blocks inspired by everyday objects and things in nature. And we got them a copyright for these designs. So whenever now we sell a fabric or a product that has their design on it, they get a royalty for it. So this was our small step in getting the women to have a more entrepreneurial outlook towards printing rather than just doing it.
This is great because also what it'll do is that it also gives them the sort of intellectual creative release instead of just being treated as laborers. So instead
a sense of ownership.
A sense of ownership.
Yeah. So we're ready to print now. If you can see into this camera.
We are able to see.
Okay. So, कौन सा लगाएगा? पीला और लाल? पीला और लाल में लगा. So he's going to print the background for the tote bag. You can इधर border. Okay.
First,
so this is the border block that he's going to use. Are you guys able to see properly?
Yeah.
Okay. So what he's going to do is take the block and tap it on the surface of the tray. He's not going to push the block. He's just going to lightly tap on the surface. And that gives it enough ink to print. If you push it, again, the color gets into the grooves and it comes out as a blob. So, क्या हुआ? Also, before you start printing this, it's always a good idea to brush your blocks to remove any dirt or anything that's there on it. So just a hard brush like this, scrub, and you can just brush.
We can't see the brush, Rajshri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And always brush away from yourself so you don't get any colors on your clothes. So what he's doing here is adding another piece of fine cotton cloth on the jute fabric, because the border that he's chosen to print has very fine carving. So he needs extra layer to regulate the amount of color that gets onto the block. He's reducing the color even more, the amount of color that gets onto the block even more. So if it were something, if it were a large design like that background block that we saw earlier, he would remove this extra piece of fabric and then print. So now he's going to you can see he's lightly tapping the block onto the surface, and that gives it enough color.
It's evenly spread.
Yes. And now he's going to align the block near the bottom. Now he's going to align the block to the bottom border of the bag. He's using his non-dominant hand to stabilize the block and then make a fist.
Wow.
And pound on it and then roll away. Dheere, dheere, dikha.
You don't really get two chances at it, do you? You have to get it right in the first
ink is on the
one try.
fabric, it's there.
You can't stamp on it again if you've got it wrong, because that'll ruin the whole design.
So you can see he's using his finger to stabilize the block. Then he will and then make a fist with the non-dominant hand, pound the block and roll away.
Wow.
Same thing is going to do for the top edge. And he's aligning the next block right here. So to get a seamless print. He's going to clean the block as soon as he's done printing with it, because you don't want the colors to dry up on the block itself. Now he's going to print the background block. Usually it's preferable to print the background in lighter colors, the outline in darker blacks and blues, and then whatever color you prefer for the accents.
And this is why his fist goes numb, right?
So as I was telling you, Bagru is famous for printing with natural ingredients. The one printing that is done nowhere else but in Bagru is called Dabu printing. It is it's like batik, but instead of wax we use a mud paste. So you make a paste of black clay, acacia gum, calcium, limestone, and spoiled wheat flour. Make a paste with water, and then we print that paste on the fabric with the same blocks. So instead of the inks, we use that mud paste to print, and then we once the printing is done, they put some sawdust on it. So that mixture of sawdust and mud makes a very hard resist layer onto the fabric. They dry it under the sun until it's completely solid, and that creates a resist layer. And then traditionally it's either dyed in indigo, which is the blue color, or a gray color called kashish. So both are natural, and once the fabric is dyed and it dries under the sun, then they wash off the mud. So the pattern emerges in white color, which is the color of the fabric, and everything else is dyed in whatever color the fabric is dyed in. So it's the resist method of printing, and Bagru is very famous for it.
Is it also because there is a certain type of mud available only in Bagru that this sort of printing persists
Yes,
and originated?
when the printing started there in about 400 years ago, there used to be a river that flowed,
Yeah.
which has since dried up. So there was the availability of mud. There was a lot of water. There were the shores to dry your fabric on. So it's printing really flourished there. So that is the one type of printing. The other one is printing with natural colors, which are very limited. Only red and black are available, and it's called
Shahi Baker.
Shahi Baker. The black is called Shahi, and the red is called Baker. And it's an elaborate process where they have to first treat the fabric with a mordant, and then they print with these red and black inks. The black is made with pieces of rusted iron, molasses, and water. And they put all of that together and let it ferment for 30 days. So that fermented liquid is used for printing. The red is made from the root of madder plant. And once the printing is done, then they boil the fabric with the tamarind flowers and a little more of the alizarin, and then it turns out once it's boiled, the colors turn really bright and nice. ये क्या कर रहे हो? So this border is also part of a set. So you'll be able to see how we
Colors look stunning, and there's a lot of comments in the chat just about how stunning the colors look, and the combination's beautiful. Quick question, Raj, in terms of when you work with your artists like Anoop, how much of the color combinations do they come up with, or you come up with? Do you sort of have a merging of creative ideas at that?
If it's a custom order and the customer already knows what they want, we stick to the color palette that they want. But the colors that you're seeing here are very traditional Rajasthani colors, a lot of bright yellows and reds and greens. We like to wear this, as you can see, in our daily lives also. I'm all green and red. So yeah, these are very popular colors here in Jaipur and Rajasthan. So you see he's added the colors into the flowers and the leaves, and he's gonna add the outline into these into the yellow background as well.
Raj or Anup or Bhavya, anyone that could answer, you know the blocks, how long do the blocks last for? Like how long could you have one for? Is it?
If you take care of them nicely, there are blocks as old as 100 years old in Bagru. So you just have to make sure that you don't drop them because they break. They are made of wood. So yeah, as long as you're brushing them and keeping them safely, they can last forever.
I've seen blocks as old as 500 years.
Oh wow.
So they like, and they are like big Kashmiri blocks. They last quite a long. Also, if it's made in शीशम wood. अनूप जी, आपके पास जो सबसे पुराने ब्लॉक हैं, वो क्या शीशम की लकड़ी में बने हुए हैं?
शीशम, रोहिड़ा, सागवान.
Rohida and Sangwan.
So and सबसे बढ़िया ब्लॉक कौन से लकड़ी में बनते हैं?
शीशम.
Shisham.
So he says that there have been blocks. He has blocks in shisham wood, which is teak wood, other mango wood, and other kinds of wood. But the best blocks last in teak wood. But nowadays, mango wood is used more in the craft of block making and block carving.
What is that?
We had a question from Harita Badula. I believe, asked, where can we buy these blocks from? In fact, does Studio Bagru make and sell blocks for people?
Yes, we do. You can send us your artwork. Just email us. I'm going to leave the email here in the chat box. And you can email us and we will have the block made and sent to you.
And just another rather amateur question. You mentioned a number of woods, and I know that there are some woods that are illegal now to make block prints from because of the tree protection in process in India. But are there? Does anybody have any knowledge about that? Could you share a little spotlight on what not to get? Because I remember roaming India at some point, and somebody was offering block prints. The blocks that were made out of a wood that was illegal, but it used to be very common to have blocks made from them. Could you shed some light on some issues?
We can ask Anup ji about this. Anup ji, अब कोई ऐसी
लकड़ी है ऐसी कोई जिसके ब्लॉक बनाना अलाउड नहीं? ऐसी तो रोहिड़ा तो खत्म हो गया, ऐसा ना?
रोहिड़ा तो बनते हैं, रोहिड़ा के बिल्कुल जो बड़े ब्लॉक बनते हैं ना, हल्के रहते हैं.
पर अब कम उगता है रोहिड़ा. पर ऐसा कुछ इलीगल थोड़ी है कि इस लकड़ी का नहीं बना सकते.
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. बबूल की बनाते हैं तो थोड़ी दिन में बैंड खा जाती है.
He's not aware about any illegal wood, but what I also know is that rohida is become scarce now because of it doesn't grow as much. But if they have to make, he's showing you the block that he's going to put the outline with. But if they still have to make very large blocks that need to be very stable, they use rohida. The cheaper alternative is babul, but those blocks tend to bend over time. So the wood swells and bends over time. So that is another thing.
And
Davina from Fair Trade has just asked a question. Can people also have company marks made into a block?
Yes, of course. We make a lot of those, and you can print labels or paper bags or anything with those. We can make company marks. Dervina, yes, we would love to make the block for you. You have the email on the chat. Please email me, and I'll we can like help make that block for you. when they're making these blocks, they'll cut out segments of wood an inch thick, an inch or an inch and a half thick, and just leave these blocks of wood for a year to dry out completely before they carve it into blocks. And once they're completely dry, they'll paint some limestone on one side so it becomes white. That helps the carver to see, to draw out the design and see where he's carving. And then they'll use chisels, steel chisels, and a wooden hammer to carve out the blocks by hand. It can take anywhere, depending on the design, it can take anywhere from 2 hours to 2 weeks to complete a block. And once the carving is complete, they'll soak it in a vegetable oil, peanut, sesame for a couple of days to give it a longer shelf life. So you see, he used these newspapers to save the printed border from getting printed over again. He just covered the border with a newspaper and then printed so that it doesn't get spoiled. So this is one side of the bag.
It looks stunning. And also Alison Davies
Beautiful.
says these colours are gorgeous. Couldn't agree more, Alison.
Thank you. So he's going to let this side dry for 5-10 minutes before he attempts to print the other side of it. Best is to let it dry under the sun. We don't have any sun here, but you can use hair dryers or just let it dry overnight before you print the other side. Once the printing is completely dry, then especially if you're doing it at home, just iron your product and the heat will set the colors so that they don't fade or bleed when you're washing. With these products that we make here, we recommend washing by hand in cold water separately. That just gives it a longer life. So he's gone out to put it in the sun, and we're gonna print a bandana next. Bandana लगा दो. और लगा दो 3D. Did anyone have any questions about the printing process? Or I'll be happy to take them now.
Okay, I have a question. Would you recommend printing on a finished object, like how you printed on a finished bag, or would you recommend printing on the fabric first and then cutting and stitching the bag?
It depends on what you're making, because with a product like a bag, you can have any design you like. It can be abstract, it can be like the one he made, and the stitching of it doesn't come in the way of it. But if it were like a bulk product that was selling in stores, definitely you would print the fabric first and then make it into bags. If you're doing it for yourself, then you can just go ahead and do it on a finished product. Alison, I'll show you how the tray has been set up again once we're at the end of the printing. He's going to print the bandana now with 3D. So how you can use the same block to create a 3D effect when you're printing. So he's gonna print the bandana with that and show you how to create a 3D effect. We also make a lot of fun blocks like these. So it's a carrot. I don't know if you can see it better here. Or we have
Yeah, it's visible. How
what
cute.
yeah. That's the palm tree that he's going to create the 3D effect with. And he has removed the fine cotton layer from the tray to get a lot more ink on this one because it has a bigger surface area. He's going to print with a lighter color first.
Also, if the block shifts slightly, it ruins the print.
If you're not, so when he's pounding the block, he's holding the block with the other hand.
Yeah.
Before he makes the fist and pounds it. So you have to hold the block in place.
It's a very, it is actually a very technical craft. Has COVID made it difficult for you to manage the studio logistically because you are spread in a village as well as in the city?
Yeah. So it is for us. It has always been. We have been at the studio, and Anoop has been taking care of the production in Bagru. So it hasn't really been very difficult because that's how we've always worked. We've stayed in the city and Anoop takes care of the production in Bagru. So now for the 3D printing, he's just going to offset the next print tiny bit. So he's not going exactly over the first print, but a little away.
Oh, wow. You can see it like a yellow shadow.
Yeah.
Can we ask Anoop a little personal question? Like, for example, has there ever been a situation where he's printing and just like made a major error or something for some big order? And how nervous is he every time he puts that block down onto fabric?
अनूप जी, जब आपने स्टार्ट किया था, जब कोई बड़े ऑर्डर में ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि गलती हो गई और वापस लगाना पड़ा हो या? I mean, it's handed down from generations to generations, so they won't let anybody who's not ready to print on a big order to start printing like that. So they do practice a lot. When they say they've just learned it by looking at it, they do pick up things from their parents, but they practice a lot. Like as Anoop also here, he would first try out on a smaller piece of fabric, whatever he has to print for the bulk, and then he'll start printing again. And his parents have been doing this for so long that they don't make mistakes anymore.
So in summary, he truly is a block star. There you go.
He is.
And there's a couple of questions in the chat. Perhaps you want to look at them, Bhavya or Raj?
Yeah, I was just going to read them out. So Devana asks that she's picked up blocks from Jaipur last year, and she wants to paint her wall. She wants to use those on her wall. So what process should she follow?
The same process, but the ink does not transfer as well onto onto a wall, a vertical wall. So, but yeah, she can use the same process, take the same process to apply the ink to the block or color and then print with it. Pineapple chapter?
Ready?
Yellow. So this is a very tropical bandana that we have here.
And who would be responsible for the design of these prints? Would artisans also participate in designing the print, or it'll be some like most who's designed these prints?
So the people who approach us for printing usually have a very clear idea of what they want. If they ask for our input, we're very happy to help. But usually they know what artwork they want, what is the design, how they want it repeated, what colors, everything. It's all very set. So there's very little room for like for your creative side for you. लाल से लगा दो। But when he's making products to that he sells in his own store in Bagru, yeah, he goes all out with creativity.
There's one more question in the chat, Raj. Devina is asking, what about the fabric? Where's the base fabric sourced from?
So the fabric mostly comes from the south of India where cotton is grown. And it comes to us in large bales of 1,000 meters each. And when the fabric arrives in Bagru, the first thing that they'll do is cut it into pieces according to what it's going to be used for. So they'll take 5 meters for a kurta pajama set, 2.5 meters each, or they'll take let's say 6 to 7 meters for a sari, or they'll take 10 meters for running fabric, which is yardage that is sold as yardage in stores. They try not to take more than 10 meters because when they're washing and printing, it becomes too heavy after 10 meters. So they'll cut it into pieces and then process it according to whatever it's going to be printed, however it's going to be printed like. And that is our company logo. If you can see this one, that's Studio Bagru.
Aretha has a question. If I had to order something to be made, do you have all the stuff ready? I'm not sure exactly what that means, but perhaps you can try and answer that. If I have to order something to be made,
Yeah.
do you have all the stuff ready? She said. I mean the
Yeah.
fabric.
If it's going to be a custom print, we usually takes about 4 to 8 weeks for sampling. And then depending on the amount you're ordering, another 8 weeks for final production. नहीं रहने बैग लगा दे पीछे या दूसरा कुछ लगा दे ये लगा दे 3 कलर वाला
I don't know about anybody else, but that print just makes me want to go on holiday.
It does. बहुत ही सुंदर लग रहा है सबको पसंद आ रहा है
There's another question, Raj, from Devina. How do you know the fabric is free from GMO or harmful pesticides? And where in South India is the fabric manufactured?
The fabric is manufactured all over the country. The cotton comes from south of India. So if this is a requirement that you have, that the fabric is GMO free, and we also insist on it, we have suppliers who have the required certification and carry these fabrics for us.
So, Raj, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but Davina's from Fair Trade India. So maybe you two should sync at some point anyhow, just to have a little fair trade chat. I'm not sure if you use any fair trade cotton or fair trade fabrics, but there might be
I would love to connect with Davina and yes, discuss this.
I'm not sure if I missed it, but did Alison's tray question get answered?
Which the tray, I'll show it to Alison once more.
Oh, okay. So can you talk about how you construct the paint tray? Yeah, that's it.
So Alison, this is a typical tray setup that we use here. You have a wooden or a plastic tray, and then we have this metal frame with nylon strings around it that acts as the stamp pad. So this is the one that we put the block on when we're tapping. This is what's under it. And this is a piece of jute fabric that goes on top. And this regulates the amount of color that gets onto the fabric. So this reduces the amount of color that the block will take, so that the color doesn't get into the grooves of the block, and you get an evenly spread color just onto the design. So that is the tray setup. If you're ordering the printing kit from us, all of this comes with it. If you're just printing at home, then you can take a tray, put a folded newspaper in it, pour some ink, spread it with a spoon or a knife, and then use that to take color onto your block.
And Raj, if anybody wants to order the block package, the block print package.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put the link to that here. This is the link to our block printing kit. And also we have a TripAdvisor page. If you guys have a minute to leave your reviews there, we would be very grateful. We do have time for one more print, right?
Yeah.
Or should we wrap it up?
We can do one more print.
Okay.
So for anyone that's listening to this and won't necessarily see the chat after the workshop, to highlight, the place to go to order your kit is studiobagru.com/workshop. That's studiobagru.com/workshop.
Also, our email is hello@studiobagru.com if anyone wants to get in touch with us later for bulk printing or for making blocks or anything. I will assist you there. So, it's been a very short class, but I hope everyone has um, gotten the basic idea of printing after watching this. And we're here to assist you if you have any follow-up questions, or if you try it later at home, and if you have any questions, just email us and I will get back to you.
It has
Raj,
been
oh sorry, if you could quickly just spotlight what, it's been a great session. What has been the journey of Studio Bagru? Who set it up? When was it set up?
So Studio Bagru was set up by Jeremy. He's an American from Ohio, and he got a grant from his college in New York to set up a hybrid organization here in India. He had applied for it and he had gotten the grant. So he came here in 2010, straight from Ohio into Bagru, and he worked with the artisans here. He lived in Bagru for 2 years, um, helped them understand. He educated them about getting a fair price for their products, how to market their products directly, social media, setting up their companies, all of that. Then he went back for a year to get his MBA degree, and worked for an international supply chain organization. But his heart was always here. So after a year, he came back here, and in 2016, we set up Studio Bagru.
This looks stunning. Does Anoop or yourself, Raj, have a favorite print?
I really like these prints with a lot of colors that go into them. But this block here, this is our favorite. And whenever we have nothing else to do, Anoop and I print it all over the achara fabric in all the colors that we have. So this one here is our favorite block. And we have some really fun blocks in the workshop as well. We have a robot, dinosaurs, cars. So if we have guests with young children that come for the workshops, they have a lot of fun printing those.
this would be more of a traditional Jaipur print, right?
Yeah, a lot of traditional prints include a lot of flowers, animals, camels and elephants and all of that. So this is considered traditional here. Um, Small flowers are called booty, and this would be, yeah. Oh yeah, एक बार वो block साफ करके बता दो. So he's just brushing away from himself when he's cleaning the block, and he's just using a hard bristle brush. That's all. And it's ready to be used with another color.
क्या डर लगता है कि बस डर लगता है
Now he's going to use this block
to fill in the color.
Yeah, so this will go into this big flower and the leaves, and this flower again, this one. So I'm going to give you a closer look as to how he aligns it.
There's a marker on each block, right?
Nowadays, most of the blocks have the marker.
Yeah.
But if you have old blocks, they just do it by eye. So this one doesn't have a marker.
Oh.
Yeah. कोई है क्या ब्लॉक अपने पास जिसमें वो निशान होता है कहाँ मिलाना है
No.
So this one has been made into the design. So this is the marker.
Yeah.
for the next print.
So you know where to join it from while printing.
This one, and this has to go into that little groove.
There's a question, Raj. I don't know.
Do you register with marks? Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. The new blocks will have a mark where which will tell you how to align the next print, but old blocks usually don't have them.
So Alison is asking, Devina, where are your main customers based in which countries? Raj?
Yeah.
Alison is asking, where are your main customers based in which countries?
So we have done work for customers from all over the world. We have done, we supply a lot in the UK, Morocco, America, a lot of it in America. So Australia also we've done a lot of work. So they're all over the world. Block printing has really picked up in the last few years.
Do you think with COVID, the work will be pushed to be more localized, that you would need to sort of be more local in terms of the business?
How do you mean?
With restricted travel and with restrictions in logistics, do you think, or has it not affected in global trade for you at all?
It hasn't actually. Thankfully, it hasn't really affected us. Also, people have found a lot more time to be creative, and that has led to a lot of people experimenting with this craft and calling on our expertise. So, yeah, thankfully, we've not been affected a lot, but of course, it does affect, well, because we used to get a lot of workshops, guests coming in for the workshop, and that totally stopped this year because of travel restrictions.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're all hoping for the vaccine to come out.
that is true.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Thank you. अनूप जी बहुत सुंदर लगा है. So I think that's our time.
Yes, thanks a lot, Raj, for showing us this beautiful craft inside out. And अनूप जी, आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आपने हमारे को बहुत इसके बारे में इतना बताया और हमें जानकारी दी और हमें समझाया और आपकी तकलीफों के बारे में भी बताया. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका भी. There's one more question by Allison. Can you tell us a bit about the workshops you have? When can we travel? When we can travel again?
Yes, so we have a 1-day and a 2-day workshop. And in the 1-day workshop, we print with the colors that you saw today because they dry up pretty quickly and you can take them home with you. In the 2-day workshops, we work with all 3 types of printing that are done in Bagru. This one, the mud printing, and the print and the Beggar Shahi printing with the red and black natural colors. So we begin our day with some chai when we reach Anoop's home, and then we take a tour around the village. We see the drying fields, we see the washing setup where they have a communal washing area where the dhobi sits and washes the clothes for all the artisans in that area. And we visit all types of printing workshops with artisans who specialize in those types of printing, the dabu printing and the red and black printing. And we also go to the block carvers to see how the blocks are carved. And then we come back through the bazaar back to Anoop's house. And you can print your own scarf, a bandana, a bag, or we have a rug also when we're doing the 2-day workshop, because the mud printing comes out really well on thicker fabrics. So you can even do a rug for yourself. And then yeah, we finished the day with a great home cooked lunch made by Anoop's mom. And that's the workshop that we do. And same for the 2-day workshop. It's just a lot more things that you learn in the 2-day workshop.
That's beautiful that you get to experience the craft and also meet with its makers and creators.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Raj, for this wonderful session, and wishing you and everyone over there a very happy and crafty Christmas. And thanks a lot for
Thank you
joining us.
everyone for joining us. Thank you, Suki. Thank you, Bhavya, for hosting this. We had a lot of fun meeting you all.
Absolutely, for us too.
Thank you all and have a merry, crafty Christmas. Bye.
Bye.